Hello there, students. Today we're talking about arpeggios, and three main things we're going to be discussing is what is an arpeggio, why you should practice them, and how to practice them properly. Okay, so the very first thing we're going to talk about is what is an arpeggio? How would I define it? Well, an arpeggio is basically any kind of chord, so a triad, seventh chord, anything like that, except you play the notes one at a time. So let me show you what this looks like on paper. So here we have our C major triad, just made up of C, E, and G, stacked chord like we're used to seeing. And you can have an arpeggio written as two different ways. Here's the first one. It can look like a squiggly kind of arrow. It can point up or it can point down. Sometimes it doesn't have an arrow at all, in which case I think it's just implied that you play from the bottom note to the top note. But see how the arrow goes up. So that implies you start from the bottom and go to the top, just like that. Just like that. And I'll show you them on the piano here in a minute. You can also have the arrow pointed down, like that. In which case you're going to start from the top of the chord, and then you're actually going to play it in reverse. So you're actually going to play the G first, the E second, and then the C third. Whereas the other way, it was C, E, and then G. So that's one way an arpeggio looks on paper. So we have an arpeggio that can look like this, but it can also look like this, where it's actually the notes of the chord written out. So you have your C, E, and G from the bottom to the top. And then of course arpeggios can always go the other way, so you can actually start from G, go down to E, and then go down to C. Now these can be quarter notes, they can be eighth notes, they can be anything. So just know the two ways is that the first way you write the chord and it has an arrow, like a squiggly and then an arrow. They're also called rolled chords since you roll them. And then it can also have that pointing down. And then the second main way is just writing out the notes of the chord separately. So that's how it looks on paper. Let me show you some more about arpeggios in this next section. So the next part is, why do we learn arpeggios? What is the purpose? Why would I be talking about this right now? And why do your teachers, if you have a piano teacher, would tell you to play your arpeggios? So here's the first reason we're going to talk about, which is they appear in music all the time. So it would be a good idea to learn them, right? Because then you can play them real snappy, real easy. So let me show you some examples. So here we have Bach's Prelude in C major from the Well-Tempered Clavier, Book 1. Now I'm only going to play a couple of measures of this, blame YouTube for me not being able to play the entire thing. But I'm just going to show you how arpeggios are used in a song. So the song begins with C with your left hand, they have E, G, and then C, E. Well, hey, that's basically a C major, not basically, it is a C major arpeggio. And then it changes to the next measure. Just like that. And then the whole song is basically made on these arpeggios that change from measure to measure. Let's do another example. Okay, now this one is from the Pathetique Sonata Movement 2 by Beethoven. I have some chords here with my right hand while I play, guess what? Arpeggios with my left hand. Another important reason we learn arpeggios is because it helps reinforce our knowledge of triads. So remember I said triad is a 3-note chord, right? It can even be a seventh chord if it's 4 notes. But let's just talk about triads for a minute. So if you practice your arpeggios regularly, which we'll talk about in a minute, you really have a good understanding on where these chords take place octave to octave and what they look like, and how to move your fingers freely between them. So like if I did D major, just by practicing that arpeggio again and again, I really can recognize the 3 notes that make up a D major triad: D, F sharp, and A. And then the third main reason we learn arpeggios is to improve our finger dexterity and our coordination playing up and down the piano. So obviously what these two things are very, very important in being able to play piano effectively, because, you know, obviously piano has a lot of complicated things going on, and by developing your coordination, you can play up and down the piano most effectively, and that's really great, and it comes in handy in every song you will play. So obviously when you're playing, you know, say A major arpeggio, 2 octaves, there's a lot of finger movement, but not only that, arm movement as well, up and down. And of course you can get faster, and it also helps you practice playing the same note at the same time with different hands, I mean an octave apart. So it really helps sync up your hands as well. Another thing that kind of falls into that same category is fingering. By learning your arpeggios, it reinforces your use of certain fingerings, which make you be able to play up and down the piano more effectively, which is a running theme basically in this lesson. That's why I'm telling you about this little secret of arpeggios, even though it's not really a secret, is really because if you learn them and practice them, you can use them pretty much everywhere, and they really help develop your skills to become the best piano player that you can be. And that's what we all want, right? We want to be better piano players. So if you go to page 44 of the link that I sent you, you have all the arpeggios in the 24 keys that you need to know them in, the major and the minor. So you start out with C major, and what you want to do is you want to learn them hand separate first. So that's the first key tip about practicing these. I'm also going to give you another little tip that you might not hear too many other places. When you're playing ascending on the piano going up, you want to slightly tilt your fingertips going in that direction. That will help you play them better. And then when you're coming back down, you want to tilt your hand a little bit, just a little bit, not to where it's uncomfortable or anything. But you want to face your fingertips the other way. That will just help you play them more effectively. You want to pay attention to what the fingering it is that they're giving you. So remember, one of the big points of this is to improve our dexterity and use of our finger numbers. So you really have to pay attention to that, because you can use any old finger numbers, but it's not going to work nearly as well. You won't be able to play them as quickly and as fluidly, so make sure to use the correct fingers. Okay, same thing with then learn them on the left hand, obviously. And then together. When you're first learning them, you want to go nice and slow and then speed them up, you know, over time, maybe over weeks or even months. How I suggest you go through these. Learn one of these arpeggios once a day if you're really motivated and you have lots of time, but at least once a week. So basically what you want to do is, we'll do it on the daily schedule. So say Monday you learn the one in C major. Then say Tuesday you want to go to A minor, the very next one. Learn that one, you know, hands separate and then hands together. It doesn't have to be perfect in one day, but just learn one a day. And then what you do is each day that goes by, you want to practice the ones you first started with plus the new one. So basically, say I'm 3 down on my 3rd day, I'm going to learn F minor. But not only that, I'm also going to review A minor. And then I'm also going to review C major. And then do this for 24 days until you've learned them all. And actually by the end of the 24th day, you're going to be really good at the first few of the arpeggios, because each day that goes by, you're practicing all the older ones. And then probably what you want to do is practice them for another 24 days. And then maybe even you want to go from the bottom of the list back up to the top. And that will make the arpeggios you learn later just as good as the ones you learn in the beginning. Because then you'll be practicing those first and then the other ones. So I'd say 48 days in total if you're feeling ambitious. You can of course take 2 days for one of these. You can take a week per one, but go about it like I talked about. You learn one, you learn the next one, including the one you first learned, and then you build on it each time until you learn them all. And then once you've completed that, I know it will take a long time, I just want to give you a little bit of additional advice. You want to start practicing them faster and faster. At first, it doesn't matter how fast you go. Over the first 24 days, go really slow, right? Take your time on these. No rush to go anywhere. And then say you're on the second 24 days. Well, once you go through them again, try to make them a little faster each day. Until you go through them all again at a faster speed. And then once you do that for a while, try it 4 octaves. So you're just going to keep going up until you reach pretty much the entire span of the piano. Let me try that one again. A little bit of trouble there, so obviously I would review that one until I've perfected it. So you always want to go over trouble areas. That is one of the great points of practicing that I can give you. That's probably the most important part of practice, is don't ignore the problem areas. Make sure you practice those first so you can clean those up and make those just as good, or if not better, than the sections or things that you're already good at. Okay, students, back to quiz time once again. Are you ready? Well, let's get started. The first question is, how many notes are in an arpeggio? Leave it in the comments or write it down. The second question is, why learn an arpeggio? What value do they have to us as piano players? And the last question is, how should you practice your arpeggios? What is the optimal way? So once you're finished answering all the questions, leave the answers in the comments and I'll tell you whether you're right or you're wrong. If you got them all right, then you understand pretty well what this lesson is about. And if you got any of them wrong, you need to go back and watch the lesson again to make sure you fully understand before you move on to the next lesson. And one main thing I want to tell you about is that you definitely want to head over and sign up for my newsletter, which is going to be in the comments, of course. What do you get out of this newsletter? Well, you get 2 main updates a month in your email, so you won't be bombarded with email messages. But basically, it's going to have some special tips for you, links to some articles that are part of the website, and the newest videos that are coming out. So if you really want to be on the pulse of what's happening with Lessons on the Web, I really suggest you sign up for that newsletter. And make sure to subscribe because new videos are coming out every Friday at 2 p.m. so you don't want to miss those important updates. So this has been Tim from Lessons on the Web. Thank you so much for being a part of our mission of teaching the world piano and music and helping you achieve your dreams. So thanks a lot, and I'll talk to you later.